Street Fighter 6 is the latest entry in the SF franchise, and though loved by most, it has received some criticism from high-level players and longtime fans. I am far from the former, but I am most definitely the latter. I have been following and playing Street Fighter for years, and have always had fun with the series, so I wanted to give my thoughts on this game and go over a lot of the criticism it gets, but also go over the good, of course. So let's begin with Street Fighter 6, the good, the bad, and the modern. That is such an awful title. Shoryuken! I like to end things on a high note, so I'll be first tackling the bad. World Tour mode. I won't go over this for long, because it's a slapped-on story mode. But World Tour is honestly so bad. The map looks awful, the story is stupid, and the whole avatar thing is just wasted potential and unfitting of a Street Fighter game. Also, the avatar models in general look like some kind of AI-generated Pixar mess. Only thing good about them is how you can customize your own character and run around the battle hub, but more on that later. The concept can work, but execution matters, and I think I could find something better on Game Jolt. You can unlock costumes for the main cast though, which is pretty cool. This next issue is something I also just want to quickly go over, then I promise I'll get into actual fundamental issues with the gameplay itself. And it is lack of content / high prices. SF6 has been out for a few years now, and not much content has been added really. Characters are released once a blue moon, and new costumes are non-existent. I personally don't care that much about quirky costumes. What I do care about is the $7 price tag per character. I get it. It takes a lot of money to make these characters, but $7 for one character is a bit much, no? Also, you can't just simply buy the character, you have to purchase fight coins. So you need 350 fight coins for, let's say, Sagat, right? Well, guess what? You can't just simply buy 350 fight coins either, meaning you are forced to pay around $12 to buy one character. Obviously, you'll have any excess coins for your next purchase, but that don't change how scummy that is. And just to be clear, unlike Street Fighter V, you can't grind out in-game currency to unlock these characters. You have to buy awkward amounts of in-game currency, or you're out of luck. Also, I should note that City of the Wolves, SNK's most recent game, is like releasing characters for free. I don't know if that's changing soon, but they have been just like releasing new characters for absolutely nothing at all. They also recently added these UI skins that also cost money. Like, why aren't these free? They're just PNGs. You can at least grind out the second in-game currency to unlock stages, so that's a plus, I guess. Okay, let's talk about the gameplay now. So Street Fighter 6 has a unique new meter mechanic called the drive gauge, and you can do a lot of cool things with it. You can parry, do an armored attack which can lead to good damage if you're lucky. The drive gauge is also used for this game's version of EX attacks, now called OD or overdrive. You can also use drive to cancel certain attack buttons on hit or block, and you can do a drive dash with it as well, so this is the central mechanic that everything works around. It's one of the best and worst things about Street Fighter 6. You may have heard the phrase, SF6 has no footsies or the drive dumps down the game. Let me explain what people are talking about. Let's start with hit confirms and whiff punishes. A hit confirm is pretty self-explanatory, where if your reaction times are good enough and with a trained eye, you can confirm a hit that will lead into a special or super to get great damage, and a nightmare for your opponent to deal with. Whiff punishes are similar, being that you punish the recovery frames of your opponent's button. These two things take skill, and it is a strong point of what separates someone that is good at fighting games and someone that is great. Now this is what the drive can do. Let me explain. So with the drive cancel, whether you confirm your hit or whether you punish a whiff, or even if your opponent blocks, it don't matter that much. Anyone can excel because doing this will get you to point A to point C, without really having to worry about B. You see, if your opponent gets hit, nice, you get a great combo with little to no resources, much more than you could get in other games as a matter of fact. Again, back then a confirm would look like this. In Street Fighter 6 with little to no effort, it looks like this. Well, what happens if your opponent blocks? Well, you're still in good hands. because using the drive gauge gives you better frame data, not only on hit, but also on block, giving you strong pressure and mix-up potential just for using the drive cancel, and your opponent is almost always forced to respect it, whether your opponent is good or not. Then you can use the drive dash for a follow-up Oki afterwards. This is the deep-rooted fundamental problem with Street Fighter 6, and this is what players are likely talking about when they say anyone can play SF6, because again, abusing the drive gauge can get anyone from point A to C, completely ignoring B. Also, side note, I want to make it abundantly clear that footsie still exists in Street Fighter 6, and I'm not saying that there isn't a skill gap or any game plan variations. What I'm trying to say is that the drive makes a really important part of Street Fighter a lot more watered down and flashy. Now there is a lot of good the drive gauge offers as well, but I'll go over that in a bit. I quickly want to go over the second main flaw of Street Fighter 6. Enter Modern Mode. Oh boy. Now Modern Mode is the dumbest thing I have ever seen in any fighting game, even more dumb than no mirror matches in the original Street Fighter 2. What Modern Mode basically does is give you training wheels, and takes almost all the skill out of learning the inputs and reacting to what your opponent does. The best example I can give is anti-airs. Now this is a normal Shoryuken input. It's nothing difficult really, but adds a delay to your action, leaving a bit of wiggle room for your opponent to exploit. Now if you're skilled enough, you can DP all of your opponent's jump-ins, but you have to have basic reaction time and clean inputs. Now on Modern, you literally just press forward and triangle, taking every bit of skill and execution it takes for an anti-air. Now there is much more issues with Modern Mode, but I'm not going to go over it all here. It could be like a separate 2-hour-long video. But Modern Mode has to be the single worst and dumbest thing ever put into a fighting game. Alright, so I went over a lot of the bad. You probably think I hate SF6, but don't get it wrong. I actually really like this game. So let's end on a high note and finally go over the good. For starters, this game looks great. At first I wasn't a fan of the art direction they were going for, but I'll have to admit, it grew on me over time. The Battle Hub, albeit unnecessary, is cool. You can chat with other players, challenge them at arcade booths, and even play some classic arcade games. The netcode is excellent. Leaps and bounds better over Street Fighter 4 and 5. You almost always have a great connection with seemingly no input delay, making the rank grind feel worthwhile and not frustrating. As someone who personally plays training mode more than actual battles in these games, I appreciate just how excellent the training mode is as well. You can check frame data, make your opponent do various actions after block, hit, wake, etc. You can even make save states for when you're trying out longer and more difficult combos. And though the drive system is very flawed, it is also insanely fun. You can use it to lab awesome combos and always keep the pressure on the opponent. It may be a bad thing in competitive play, but as someone who sucks at fighting games, it is so fun to use. As a matter of fact, I would probably get beat up for this, but Street Fighter 6 is the most fun the series has been since Third Strike. Yes, that includes SF4. But don't diss it till you try it. This game is fun, and there is a lot of enjoyment to get out of it. So yeah, those are my general thoughts on SF6. I know most of this video is me talking about the negative side, but I can only really say this game is fun so many times. It really is a good game, and 100% worth buying. Though I enjoyed Street Fighter V more than most, 6 had a much better launch and vision than that game had. It is far from perfect, but hey, we can only get Third Strike once. I hope you enjoyed this video. Do you like this game? Dislike? Let me know in the comments, and as always, until the next video.